So this month we've been talking about abundance and gratitude. And just to give a quick review, abundance and gratitude, we started with waking up. We have, interestingly, as we talk about abundance and gratitude, we're talking about three qualities that I see this community is about. The first one is waking up, and that's remembering, and not just remembering, but living from and as the truth as much as we possibly can, that we are one with all life, that there is a source that is behind the form, and that it is that which animates all life, and that has no limit. That is infinite. It is absolute. It is unchanging. It is pure love. It is pure joy. It is pure freedom. It is beauty. It is harmony. It is all that good, and there is no opposite. There's not two, there's one. Joel Goldsmith talks about one of the greatest things that we continue to play with is that we still feel that there's some other energy. There's something other than the one, even though we talk about oneness. And so a lot of our work is just to know that there's only one. There's nothing opposing us. There's nothing opposite of that. And we are here to align ourselves completely on every level and dimension of our being, physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual, to know and stand and live and express from and as that one. And that's the second quality, is expression. So as we wake up to this magnificent truth that we are one, we each have a unique way of expressing that one into this world. The oneness and the diversity, and each of us is diverse. Each of us is unique. Everyone here has their own way of being. There's no one in this planet that has the same thumbprint, and no one on this planet has the same soul print. That we are each these beautiful beings, and the only way we get to know the uniqueness that you are is by hearing from you, by allowing yourself to express and allow that song to be sung through you, allow that light to shine through you in a way that no one else can do it, to express it. So there's a reason why so many teachers say, let your light shine. What was it that Jesus said? Be a bushel, don't take, Sorry, there are quotes that come and go and then they're gone. But don't hide your light under a bushel. That's it. Man, it came and went really fast. And so that's what we're doing. That's what Jill, by you and Debbie saying, we want to create a Thanksgiving dinner. And can we do it for the community? And you just took it on. The two of you just took it on. And then you at the same time said, I'll sing on the Sunday after. Just saying, that's saying yes to you. And no one could be that other than you. And how brilliant and beautiful and what a blessing it's been to our entire community by you saying yes to you. And we're all doing that. We all need to say that wonderful yes. So that's the waking up to the oneness and expressing and allowing it to pour through us. And the third aspect is what we're talking about today, which is connect. That we wake up, we know who we really are, and as I have referenced in the past, we have to continue to do this because the world is going to keep trying to hypnotize us back into our smallness. So we continue to know who we are, we continue to allow that who we are to come through and as us, to express through us, and then to connect with the people around us, with life around us. For Thanksgiving, when I was a child, we lived in the suburb of Cleveland, and about 45 minutes south is Akron, Ohio, where LeBron James is from. Now people know Akron. We went down once a year for Akron, and we had relatives that I couldn't even tell you how we were related. It was something like second cousins, twice removed. I don't know. I just knew they were related to us in some form or fashion, and my dad had to go through a really long genealogical description of how we were related to them. But we were related, darn it. So at Thanksgiving, we would drive down to Akron and spend our Thanksgiving with these families who I never saw the entire rest of the year. It's the only time I ever saw them. They were all boys. See, all the other families were all boys. My family was all boys except for me, so I was immersed in all boys. I was the youngest. But boys are easy because you just go down and they just play sports all day. And then they watch sports or we play cards. So it was just sort of this day that happened out of nowhere and was not connected to anything else in my life. Our families were very different in style. Years later, I was out of college and I was visiting my mom in Cleveland, and some of the family, that Akron group, had moved up to Cleveland, and they invited my mom and myself to their home for Christmas. And it was funny because we went, and I'm like, I know these people. We're connected. And we were connected because I was told we were connected. And then there was one of the family members, and we just started talking and we got along, and so we're talking, and I went back to California, and we stayed connected, we stayed friends, and all based on this one day a week, one day a year holiday. And what that points to for me is that connection is actually a choice. I didn't really have any connection. Our families were very different. I saw them once a year. I had nothing in common with them at all. A lot of them were much older than me. And yet, because I was told in some weird fashion we were connected, we were family, in my head as a child, we're connected. So even though I hardly ever saw them, when I saw them all these years later, we're connected. It was a choice. So my first invitation is to choose to recognize that everyone on this planet is your brother and sister. There is no one we're not connected to, and if we are not, and it's not something you feel. I didn't think I was connected because I felt connected. I didn't have a soul connection. I didn't have a common interest. There was nothing that connected us on the human form other than the choice. That's all it takes. It doesn't take a feeling. It doesn't take common interest. It's a choice. We are surrounded by our soul sisters and brothers everywhere we go, every single day. It is a choice to see them as our soul sisters and our soul brothers and to say we are connected. I may only be connected with this person standing in line with me at Starbucks for this moment in time for my entire history on this lifespan. But for this moment, I recognize my sister or my brother in line, and we connect. But then there's the other aspect of it, which is, are those people that we know we're connected with and that we see every single day to the point where we almost take it for granted? So we might see them because they're family. I see Jack and Julian all the time, or colleagues, people you see at work all the time, people you see in the grocery store all the time, just people we see regularly, but have some relationship with. A grocery store is a little different because you don't have a relationship, but people you work with, you'll have a relationship with. Brothers, sisters, parents, children. And I also recognize that we don't always appreciate those connections because we see them every day. We don't recognize who they really are because we're in the task of taking care of them or getting things done. And this really hit me this past week. For some reason, Jack and Julian and I decided to look at an old video of Julian when he was a toddler. And we haven't looked at it for years. Julian doesn't even remember seeing these videos. And I was mesmerized. He was so adorable. I'm not biased, but I just want to say, he was just so adorable, and we got to bed so late because we couldn't turn it off. He was just learning how to speak. And I feel the same way when I see the little kids at Valley Montessori School, all the little kids, and I'm like, they're so cute. How do their parents stand it? And they're just, these little ones are, some of the little ones out there, they're so cute. But when you're with them every single day, you don't think, oh, they're so cute. You're like, oh, I got to get their diaper changed, or I got to get them fed, or I got to get, you're just getting the to-do list done, that we can forget in the everydayness how precious people are. So on the one hand, we want to recognize and connect with everyone in those perfect moments that we might see, and we know we only are seeing them temporarily, but we also want to connect deeply and profoundly with those people that we see every single day, or at our work life, or at school, where we see them but almost take them for granted and recognize they are precious to us. One of the ways we can do that, so those are the two invitations this week. The way, for me, that's really opened up of how to really start appreciating the people I see more deeply is a term that came up when we were doing a board retreat with Reverend Mark Anthony Lord when he was here at the beginning of, was it this month, or of October? We were talking about tithing in community. Do you know what tithing is? When you give 10% of your income. And then we were shifting that conversation to the law of circulation. And then he said this phrase, and it popped out of his mouth, and I'm just like, that's it. And he said, it's like an energy exchange plan. Don't you love that? You guys weren't excited either. Okay. Energy exchange. So money is not really money, it's just energy. And we're exchanging it. And that's not just true about money, that's true about everything. And so all our relationships is an energy exchange plan. I love this. So if you think of an iceberg, the tip of the iceberg is that little part that you see above the water, and then you look and you see those pictures and you see underneath all that ice underneath. It's just miles and miles and miles of ice. That's really what all form is. Form is the tip of the iceberg, but behind the form is this vast oceanic energy of light and of love, and it's unlimited and it's powerful. And so what we want to connect with when we're connecting with those people that we see every day is we're not connecting just with, I'm not just connecting with Jack, the tip of the iceberg. I'm connecting with all the energy that's behind him. And what a glorious thing to experience every day when we consciously bring our awareness to this incredible being before us and all the vastness of energy, and that we're in this wonderful energy exchange plan. Last night at our Thanksgiving feast, Jill gave a little talk, a little speech, I don't know what it was, toast, something. And it was brilliant, it was beautiful. And it gave me something, is what I needed to hear. It gave me something wonderful to think about. So she was said about, in Thanksgiving, we're always talking about giving thanks, giving things. And she said, sometimes it's hard for us to receive. So when we give, it's joyful, but then when we receive, we tend to clench up and we don't take in. So she was inviting people to receive. And I was being with that because I also, when I graduated from ministerial school, Reverend Michael Beckwith, a minister down at Agape in Los Angeles, which is also a community like this, much bigger. The speech he was giving to our graduating class was he told us to not hold on to or get attached to compliments that people gave us. He said, if we got attached to compliments, then we'd also have to really get attached to the criticisms, and then we're going to be on this roller coaster ride of ministry that we weren't going to find it joy because we're always like high, low. Same person who likes you one week might not like what you said the following week. So I was being with that and this energy exchange plan and the giving and the receiving because it didn't feel quite right. I like what he said. I don't want to get caught up in what everyone's opinions of me. Other people's opinions are not my business, right? You've heard of that before. But at the same time, it could feel a little bit indifferent, like you're so shut off that you're not in the energy exchange plan. I was thinking of Elie Wiesel, who's the survivor of Auschwitz. Are you all familiar with him? He wrote Night, and he was a Nobel Peace Prize winner. He has since made his transition. And when he said the hardest people he had to work through the healing with were not the Nazis, but those who were neutral. He said that indifference was the hardest, those were the people that he had the hardest time healing and forgiving. When angry energy is coming with us, it's an actual energy that you can work. You can consciously say, I'm working with this energy, I'm transmuting it, it's visible, and I can work on it. I can see it, and I can deal with it. It's like the whole Martin Luther King talking about in the South, at least you could see the racism. In the North, you couldn't see the racism, so it's really hard to work on. When you see the anger towards you, you can shift it. The part that Elie Wiesel was talking about was just that indifference. No energy's coming at all. And that's what I started feeling about compliments, criticisms, you don't respond to either, and that feels almost indifferent. So I was being with that, and I thought, that's this whole energy exchange plan is it's the key to everything. When someone is giving us a compliment, when someone's giving you a compliment or a gift or a service, they're giving you something. If we put our intention less on the form, the gift, the compliment, the service, and more on the energy behind it, not on the tip of the iceberg, but on all that energy, that vast oceanic love that supports that gift, then we are in the energy of receiving. We are receiving not the form, because the form, if someone compliments me, say, and I get attached to the form, then I have to try to make myself conform to being that same person so I get that same compliment, because I'm attached to that compliment. But if I let go of the actual form, the substance, the content of the compliment, but go more towards the energy of it, then I'm free, because the energy is vast, infinite, and oceanic. It is unending. So I allow myself to tap into the energy behind the compliment, the service, the gift, and suddenly I let that energy flow in, and I let it come out, and there's not even a less thing it even feels less personal, and yet it's personal. We're exchanging in this wonderful flow of energy back and forth, and it's very freeing. There's no attachment. There's nothing to resist. There's nothing to hold on to, because energy is infinite. It's never ending. That's the abundance. It is ever present. And that's what we get to flow in when we're in relationship with one another. And we just really feel into the energy that's behind all our interactions, our conversations with one another. Everything is on the surface and the energy is behind it. I love that image of the tip of the iceberg, and that if you can, if I had a projector, I would have brought a huge iceberg with, because I love those pictures with all the ice underneath. That's that incredible vast energy and power and abundance and goodness that supports all aspects of form. And if you think, and as I think about that iceberg and we start going deeper and deeper, the connections that we start having are deeper because we feel all this energy flowing back and forth. Sometimes that pain starts to come up. I was telling someone last night, the assistant director, former assistant director at Valley Montessori School, she's moved on. She also was on the board at a church in our area. And when I met her, I was just amazed at Valley Montessori School, but I also thought there's a lot of parents here. If there's 500 kids, there's probably almost 1,000, 900 or 1,000 parents, and they're all paying a lot of money for their kids. And I thought, man, so I asked her, I said, are parents really intense? Because they must, if they're paying this much money for a school, they must really want you to do the way they want you to do it. And she said, oh, this is nothing. You should work on a church board. She said, they're like crazy over there. Well, you guys don't find that funny? I find that funny. Because what happens in churches, it's the same thing that happens in relationships. When you fall in love and your heart's wide open and it's so wonderful, and then as it goes on, this stuff starts to come up to be healed, because when we feel safe, when the walls start to come down, those stuff that's been hidden starts to come up. Comes up to be healed. And so I think what happens in spiritual communities is we feel the love, we feel accepted, and so things that haven't been healed start to emerge. And so the question is how do we deal with that energy as it comes up? Do we withdraw? Do we shut it down? Do we press it? Do we do spiritual bypass and pretend it's not there? And for me, one of the great gifts of being in a spiritual community is people love us. They genuinely love us, and they help us move through those issues. And it's not something that happens as a one-time deal. So I've talked about, I was not just introvert, I was shy. And what moved me through that shyness was community. In fact, I don't think I ever would have, I know I wouldn't have. I would not be who I am today if I hadn't been in a spiritual community. My family wouldn't have done it. My friends wouldn't have done it, just friends out in life, because they're just being nice to me. But it was the spiritual community, because the spiritual community, so I didn't even recognize it. I did all my pre-practitioner classes. There are 4 classes that we took, and someone said to me in one of those classes, you never talk in classes. I wasn't even aware that I didn't talk. I thought I was very chatty. It was just in my head I was very chatty. So I was surprised to get that feedback. And then I went into practitioner training, and this is 2 years of training. You're with people every week, you get to know them, and we're set 2 years into it. And they said, well, there's some people who never talk in class. We want to make sure you talk. And they read my name. Again, I was surprised. I talk all the time. Apparently, I didn't. So I had this idea in my head of who I was. But what happened is they kept calling me out. And then it happened as I was volunteering in the community, as all these relationships, I worked in the community, so I was getting to know everybody really at a deeper level. The love was getting deeper and deeper. And over, different people in completely different circumstances within this community would push me, and they say, you need to speak up, you can't. And when I say it wasn't a little wall, this was a thick wall. And when we have a thick wall, a thick block on something in our heart, that's blocking the expression to come through, we don't just acquiesce and say, okay. I fought it. I got angry. No, you're not accepting me for who I am. I am perfectly happy thinking to myself, I don't need everyone to hear my opinions. I don't have this desire where everyone has to say, look at me, you know. And I just sort of enter. See, I can tap into that pretty quickly. People pushed, and I pushed back. They were saying, you are more than this. And I'm saying, no, I'm not. You're not accepting me for who I am. Accept me for who I am. And they're saying, we accept that that's how you feel about yourself, and it's very familiar and very comfortable, and you're more than that. You're that and more. And you can, and they pushed me, and they pushed me, and they pushed me, dang it. And up for me came anger, came sadness, came not enoughness. I'm not good enough. All that stuff arose. And I would have never gotten to the other side if it hadn't been this incredible community that surrounded me and kept saying, you're more than this. We see you, we hold you. And it happened over months and years. It wasn't, I can't think of one event. I can think of many and many different people. It wasn't one person. And that's the beautiful thing of a spiritual community that says we are committed to being awake. Well, we have the woke up movement. To know who we really are, to know the truth of each other. That I will never see, I promise and I commit to you, that I will never see you less than who you really are, that you are the wholeness and the perfection of pure spirit, and you are beautiful and magnificent and abundant and loving and generous and intelligent and creative beyond your wildest imagination. That is who you are. And there is nothing opposing it. There is nothing opposite of it. And I stand strong in that. I will hold you in that. And yes, you have your new, unique way of expressing it, and I need to hear you. I need to hear your voice. You don't get to sit in a corner and say, I'm just going to do my own thing. No, you have to share your gifts and your talents, because every one of us is essential. Every one of our voices, every one of our expression is essential for my good. Not just for the world's abstractly good, but for my good. I need to hear your voice. I need to hear your expression. That's what we do for one another. It's glorious and wonderful to feel that wonderful healing light. And sometimes it's not just, I've talked about the shyness or withholding, but also being in a spiritual community, we talked about this in our Becoming Unconditional class on Thursday. We can go the opposite side, and I can say, I am the life of God, I'm Thor, hear me roar. No, not Thor, I'm thunder. But we can get arrogant with it. And sometimes pride comes out in communities too when they start saying, well, yeah, I'm the life of God. I got everything complete and I know I'm great. And I'm exaggerating, but there's a pride that comes out. And what every spiritual teaching and psychological teaching says, those are actually the same thing. If we are identified and connected with our greatness and we think it's my human self that's great, not spirit, or we are worked with not enough, it's the same limiting identity. Because I think that me, Harriet, is what's great. And I use it as a means to separate myself from other people. There's nothing wrong with feeling the strength of who you are in God, recognizing that everyone else is strong too. But if I think I'm strong in God, but I'm better than you, that's separation. And now I've pulled myself away and the energy exchange is not happening, not because I'm not expressing myself, but I'm almost expressing myself in a way that puts people off, that pushes people away. People don't feel closer and feel your vulnerability in our open heart. They feel further away from us. So we're playing with these energies all the time and say who we really are is the divine. The power and the glory of the living God that's moving through me is not made of me, Harriet, the small ego, but it is much greater than me moving through and as me. It allows me to express uniquely and powerfully and joyfully, uniquely, but not better than anybody else. And that's where this wonderful energy exchange starts to flow and flower. So y'all with me here? And so this is the invitation for this wonderful week of Thanksgiving, and obviously this is true all of the time, that we go into this week, and first of all, so the two choices this week are to choose to see everybody as our brother and sister. That in spirit, everyone is our brother and sister. And when we see them and we feel this wonderful energy exchange plan happening, and two, to be fully present in that energy exchange. So with the people that we do know, the people that we don't know, we are practicing this wonderful flow of the energy exchange in our conversation. There's a minister who tells the funniest and best stories of hers, and I bet Michelle could tell great stories too, of her standing in Starbucks, the stories that she has with people. Amazing. I mean, she just goes right into the depth immediately. Like, it's not small talk. She just goes right there into the, and you're like, these are not conversations she has in Starbucks. There's no way. With people she's never met before, but that's because she's seeing who they really are, and she just gets right into the soul and the heart of questioning who they are in some exchange, and they respond Because she knows who they are, they respond. So choosing to see family everywhere you go, everyone is your family, everyone is our family, and to connect deeply with this energy exchange. And what happens is when we are wide open and we allow people to give to us, when we allow ourselves to receive people's energy and give that energy, suddenly we're like wide open and now we're more awake. The more we see and feel the presence of God, the face of God before us, and we allow it to open us, now we're awake and we're in a full circle. That the more we connect, the more awake we become, and the more awake we become, the more deeper and profoundly connect. And all of it is this wonderful, unique, and powerful expression of pure spirit. So this is our invitation. That's abundance beyond our wildest imagination, because how many people are you going to see just today? From the moment in this room, from the moment you walk out here for the rest of your day, you are in bliss, because you are with the face of God everywhere you go. You are surrounded by love. Let's enjoy it. Let's enjoy it. So Thanksgiving, abundance, Thanksgiving, connection, awake, express, and connect. And now we're going to pray. What I'm going to invite you all to do today is I'm going to invite everybody to stand during the prayer. And what I want us to realize is the words are coming from me, but the words are just the tip of the iceberg. The power is the energy, and we're all part of this energy. So I might be the only one speaking the words, but I'm only speaking the tiny bit of all the energy in this room. So everyone, you are the energy behind this prayer. And what I want to say is I don't even care if you pay attention to the words of the prayer. What I want you to do when you're standing is if you start to sway, let yourself sway. But feel the energy moving in your body. Whatever, if the words are only meant to, as the Zen Buddhists like to say, their fingers pointing at the moon. We want to stay connected to that moon. So if the words help you point to the moon, let them flow in you. Whatever it is, just feel this wonderful energy within you, through you, and as you. Let's all stand. We're going to pray and do this wonderful energy expression of pure spirit. Y'all ready? Shake your body. All right. How grateful I am to stand with my family, who I love so much. Each and every individual in this room is the face of God who has touched my life. And I know that each and every one in this room touches each other's life. And we bless all those people who are not here with us today, who are essential to the heart of this community. And so we stand as a community together as one. What a glorious thing to recognize that there is only one power, one presence, one life. There is only one power. There is only one presence. There is only one life. We feel it at the children in our youth program. We recognize that it is everywhere on this planet. There's nothing that is ever outside of this one power and this one presence, ever. Every person that we've ever loved and ever known, those people we haven't particularly liked, all of them are expressions of this one power and this one presence. Every place of worship, one power, one presence. Every form of nature, of animals, plants, minerals, one power, one presence. Every star, every galaxy, the billions and billions of stars and billions of galaxies, one power, one presence. All the different dimensions of time and space beyond what we can even begin to imagine. One power, one presence. One power, one presence. There is never anything ever outside of this one power and one presence, and we are it now. Every single person in this room, radiating and pulsating. One power, one presence. One power and one presence as our physical, emotional, mental body, every aspect of our being, from the moment we were birthed, before we were birthed, when we were birthed, our entire lifetime, every experience, one power, one presence. Everything that's going to move forward from this day, one power, one presence. Our lives are infused, one power, one presence. And when I say one power, one presence, this includes all the beauty, all the love, all the peace, all the joy, all the freedom, all the beauty, all the harmony, all the creativity, all the prosperity that has ever been and ever will be. One power, one presence, and we are it. It is pouring itself through every atom and cell of our being. We are these divine vehicles of light and of love, powerfully and joyfully, uniquely expressing as only we can, not through will, not through effort, but just simply by being ourselves. What a glorious gift everyone in this room is to this planet. Every being on this planet, what a glorious gift. We see it, we know it, and we behold it in one another. What a great and glorious gift that as we go forward forth from this day, we feel the energy and power of every person with whom we come in contact. One power, one presence. We are meeting our soul sisters and brothers wherever we go. The energy is flowing. We feel love, love, and more love. This love that has no end. It is an abundance of love beyond anything we could ever humanly imagine. We allow it to pour through us. We allow it to receive those conscious, loving vehicles pouring through us. We accept the consciousness of love pouring through us as us, and let it pour through us out back into the world. This is the divine circulation that is happening all of the time, and it is healing us. Every area in our life that needs healing, any place where we feel is too ugly, not enough, where we reject about ourselves, we're too controlling, we're too not educated enough, we don't look the right physically, we're too old, we're too young, we're too whatever, smart, we're not smart enough, all of those things. Love, oneness. We accept all parts of ourselves, that energy exchange plan first and foremost, that deep connection within us, as us. Everything is included. The energy has no end. All blocks are being healed even now. All blocks are being healed even now. They no longer exist. They dissolve into the nothingness from which it came. We are heaven on earth right now because we choose it. We choose it, to see it, to feel it, to be it, to accept it, here and now. And for all of this, I just say thank you. Thank you. Thank you, infinite and eternal one. It is not of ourselves, but through this divine infinite power pouring through us, that we just surrender our life, we let it shine in, through, and as us, and we let it be in joy, in complete trust, in complete availability. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. We release this word together, and as one we say, and so it is. Amen. Amen.
So it is, and so